Season 5, Episode 99, Take 1. What is good, everybody? My name is Jake, and welcome back to the One Take series, where we get one chance to reflect on the day. No second chances, no third chances, one take and one take only. We are one episode away after this one from reaching the 100 episode mark, except, obviously, there was one episode that covered episodes 36 through 98. And so I don't know how long it's going to take for that one to get uploaded, because I tried uploading it last night and it still hasn't uploaded. So we're just going to see what happens, honestly. When this episode comes out, I don't know, really, because I want to obviously like kind of release it with kind of like after the other one, but if it doesn't come out by then, we'll just see what happens. All I'm going to say is that if this one ends up getting uploaded before the other one, feel free to watch this one all the way through, even though it will obviously have some ties and you'll get some spoilers. However, if this episode has come up by the time that if you are watching this, let's say, if you are watching this by the time that the other episode has been uploaded, I highly, highly recommend that you go and watch the other episode, because obviously there is needed context for today. So, as there typically is. Usually I kind of have 10 things, so let's write them in real quick, okay? Because this doesn't take too long, and it's good for me to get back into the habit of the things that I want to prioritize, right? God, gym, internships, which I usually denote by a caution sign. Then there's research, and then there's, what are the other ones? There's work. With work comes Big Brother. Let me see. What are the other things? There's obviously academics. There's music. There's okay. Then there's sleep at the bottom. Go figure. And then in between there is one take. There you go. So basically, this is usually kind of like the thing that I use from now on. How I'm going to approach the rest of it, like this list, the rest of the series, I'll kind of see, because initially it was basically just kind of like a progress map to see what I did and did not do each day, just to kind of mark progress, right? But I think from now on, I think I'm only going to keep a few kind of like in my like daily rotation, because I think a lot of it's going to look the same, right? Research, I gotta get more like not involved in the moment at research. I think that's gonna come a little bit more next semester. I think regarding research, my game plan is just keep in touch with the professor, keep in touch with the assistants, come in from time to time just to still hold me off and like to let them know, hey, like I haven't gone anywhere, even though I've been like gone for like MIA for the last couple of weeks. But currently research, not really anything. Internships, I actually did apply for some this morning, which was good. However, because I didn't realize, because it's December 1st, and there were probably some opportunities that closed off at the end of November, like yesterday night. So that was really kind of a bummer and a bad start to my morning, because I woke up, I was ready and hyped to apply to internships, and I saw a lot of the opportunities were gone because it was a 1 month difference. Man, and I can't even be mad. But basically, yeah, I actually did apply myself to internships, which is great. Let me see. And then you had God, which, I didn't open the Bible, okay? I didn't open the Bible. However, I am going to mark it orange, because I did, when I was scrolling through Threads of all apps, which normally I don't do. Don't be on Threads. Everyone on Threads is a professional dummy, okay? Basically, the actual phrase that I use is dumbass, but I'm trying to be a little bit more holy today, right? As I'm trying to do a little bit more going forward, because I feel like the three main sins that I want to focus on right now, okay? One, I'm not going to hold you, okay? It has to do with the streak and stuff, okay? It's basically that I was like prioritizing heavy in the beginning. Lust is basically my number one killer, okay? Number 2 is probably gluttony, and number 3 is swearing. It's in no particular order. I think they're all equally bad for me, and I want to cut all of them out of my life, but the main one I'm trying to cut out of my life is swearing. So even though I think in song lyrics I still want to keep swearing, not only for effect, but just because that's what I was feeling at the time. Basically, all this yapping to pretty much say I'm trying to lessen my amount of swearing. So I'm gonna mark God as this because even though I didn't open the Bible today, I did feel God at certain moments today. Especially, a really cool thing that I heard was Proverbs 19:3, specifically the New Living Translation. Is one of my new favorite Bible quotes, and it specifically says something along the lines of, pretty much, someone will go out of their way to make their lives miserable and then blame it on God. I was obviously paraphrasing, but I heard that phrase and I freaking love it a lot, dude. I really like that one. Gym, yes, I did hit gym today, which is fantastic. I went in, I did pull. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when it comes to my day. Working Big Brother, so this is an important concept that I want you guys to know, okay? Because even though I didn't get to them today, I've been saving this for weekends, right? And that's really key. And that's why, specifically, like, kind of over, like, the period of time that I've been gone, you haven't seen me, like, what is it? I guess, like, talk about Big Brother, or, like, you haven't seen me. I was, like, basically talking about how, like, I haven't really made much advancements in the Big Brother department. The reason why is because I only watch it while I'm working, right? And so pretty much, that's if I only work on weekends, right? Then essentially what it boils down to is that they group them together. So I save both of them for the weekend. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Academics. I mean, academics is my life at this point. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't want it to come down to this, but my gosh, dude, freaking engineering, bro. I was just telling my roommate a few minutes ago, there should be a freaking engineering hotline, dude. Like, it is genuinely just insane. It's like, oh, it's so bad for mental health, but we're almost there, dude. Like I said yesterday, a real lawyer only cries once it's all over. Okay, rest of it. Music. Did I work on music today? I don't believe I did. No, I did not. However, I was able to talk about it, which was really... Actually, you know what? No. Semi-advancements in the music, which is good. And then we have one take, which I'm actually staying on top of today. So I'm going to mark that as yes, even though it's not short form. I think over the winter break, there are a lot of things I want to do over winter break. The main things being applying to internships, get right with God, obviously maintain... You know what, there are a lot of things over break. I'm not going to try and promise myself anything. But if we can tack on some one take in there, I feel like that would be really cool. And then the last thing, sleep. How did I sleep last night? I think I got some good sleep. Oh, wow. That was terrible. What the frick was that? Basically, I want to say that I got maybe... I mean, even though I went to bed like a little bit late, like maybe like 1 o'clock, but I think I got 8 hours. So, looking at this list, I honestly did pretty good. I did pretty good. Okay, I did good today. That was really nice. Let me see. So that was 6 things that we can mark yes, 2 things that were okay, and then this one was obviously, wait, hang on, that doesn't add up. 5 things that were completely good, and then we have the weekends, which obviously I said 2 things that were okay, and then 1 thing that I just didn't do. So honestly, that's pretty good. I will gladly take that. So now I'll go through kind of like my day and stuff and just kind of document how that went. So, it's a key thing of, and this was definitely a day of like, you have to look at the good things instead of the bad things. Common theme across a lot of my episodes, especially this season, and probably across my other seasons as well. But basically for this, because obviously my day started off with internship searching, and even though I was able to click apply, and that actually reminds me of something. I need to make a template for a cover letter. That's probably like the main thing I want to look at right now. What color should I use for this? I'll do pink. Pink is a nice color. I like my pink marker. Basically, cover letter. Because this is a key thing. I still have not made like a cover letter or a template for a cover letter, but if I just sit down and I make a template for one, I can basically, I'm assuming I can be able to use it for pretty much any business I want going forward, which I feel like would be really key in just applying to a lot of internships. So I'm going to make some time to do that because I think that would be really crucial. But yeah, I'm going to go through the day now. So basically, they started off with internship search, and like I said, I was a little bit bummed out because of just like timing and stuff like that. Like, oh my gosh, it's December 1st. Of course it is. And so basically, I kind of like, I was so busy doing like internship search this morning that I didn't really put in the time to get ready. So, which is why, by the way, I'm just taking that out just because. I don't know why. It just kind of like was getting like a little uncomfortable underneath my thing. I'll talk about that in a little bit actually. But yeah, basically it was like kind of a thing of, I was just like I didn't really have enough time to get ready this morning because I didn't make time, right? And so pretty much I decided to just kind of like put on a hoodie on top of this. That's pretty much what we do. By the way, so it's an interesting thing. I don't know why I do it, but when I have my cross necklace, because I've worn my cross necklace pretty much almost every day this semester. And I believe I did it last semester as maybe did I don't know if I did, but I know that this semester pretty much it almost has never left my body other than sometimes when I'm sleeping, emphasis on the sometimes, and then some days where I just forget about it for some reason. But I don't know, like I kind of just wear it underneath my shirt. I don't know why. But I feel like it just kind of works. And plus it's like it's almost a thing of like I don't really want to force it, I guess, on anybody. I'm trying to think of like I'm trying to like actually like process that. And sorry, this is just like trying to actually go through the process of like why do I wear it underneath my clothes instead of over. I guess just for like the outfit, it kind of like makes a little more sense. That's probably why. But it's not really a thing of like I'm putting God like behind like my identity. I'm not trying to put it under anything. It's more of a thing of like I think it's a cooler thing of like it's hidden in secret and then you get to know me and then it's kind of like, well, like what makes you so cool? Well, it's like because I'm Christian, right? I think that's the meaning behind it. Anyways, yeah, so that side tangent aside, I walked in today thinking it was gonna be a terrible day. Just based off the way I was like, oh my gosh, like that happened and then now that I gotta go back to school with freaking 3 weeks left. Because here's the thing, right? There are 3 weeks left, obviously, right? There is this week, which is all classes. There's next week where classes end on Wednesday and we have a reading day on Thursday. And then there is the last week, which is reserved for finals. And during finals week, the last available time you would have finals for is for Thursday, right? That would be the last day. However, the problem is that for my major, what is happening with a lot of my classes is that they're moving a lot of the final projects to Friday on the last week, which basically means that I am going to be going hard until the very bitter end, right? And so pretty much it's just a thing of, you know, I just gotta get back into it. I just gotta keep going. And so it was a total vibe killer at the start of the day. But the day went on and it got better over time, right? I went to linear algebra and that wasn't bad at all. And so basically I came out walking with a friend, and this is a key thing of like just how many things happen and how little changes that are little things that we make in our day, little decisions that we make can just completely alter the course of it, right? And so basically it was interesting for sure, just because there were a lot of interactions that I wasn't expecting to have today because of it. And so pretty much there was one thing of like I was walking out with my basically like someone I was friends with in linear, and then basically there was like kind of like this is a smaller interaction, but someone who like no, you know what, it's just not relevant. It's not relevant. I was telling my roommate about this as well, but it's like I'm only gonna recap the things that like actually matter and have an impact on the day, and this is why I said kind of like so for music, right? It's because there's this one person, right? There's a complicated relationship with this. It's not like a relationship, just like a complicated dynamic, I should say, right? So basically the thing about this girl, right? Okay, she's an awesome girl. She's a really, really cool person, right? And so the thing is that I feel like this isn't me gossiping. I don't know. Is it gossiping? I don't know. Is it me gossiping or is it just me giving information? Because I don't want to gossip. I know gossiping is a sin. Let me see. Oh, I don't know if it is. Okay. For educational purposes, I'm not going to, because my computer is in the other room, unfortunately. I'm just going to say really quickly, I'm just going to give you like the objective facts and then the rest is up to interpretation, right? So basically what is happening currently is that there's this one person that I was kind of interested, this girl that I kind of liked, a little bit ago, right? I just had feelings for her, but nothing really like kind of happened out of it. It was more just like a thing of like I kind of saw her around and like I kind of saw her, she was cute, right? Then my sophomore year, my roommate dated her for a little bit. They broke up, right? And then now I'm confused because I believe that like at this point I don't really have like really like crazy feelings for her or whatever. It's mainly just a thing of like I don't know if there's lingering stuff, to be honest. I don't know. That's why I'm kind of caring about this. But basically, I don't know currently if there's another one of my friends that is into her, right? And I want to ask the friend like, hey, are you into so and so? Like because I'm just curious. Like I'm connecting the dots a little bit between the two, and I'm just like, these two would low key be kind of cute together, right? But I want to ask them at some point because I feel like it would genuinely be like, yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested. So, and I'm not gonna whatever their answer is. I'm not gonna reveal it probably unless it's relevant to the plot. So, because I'm not really into that gossiping kind of thing. I just mainly want to lay the foundation for the type of person that I'm gonna be talking about, who I'm talking to. Okay, the reason why I'm bringing up all this, right, is because what she was basically kind of like we encountered each other like just based off of one decision I decided to go walk towards our union, right? And basically we kind of encountered each other. We were like, hey, and it was like, how are you doing? Good. How about you? Good. And so she asked about my music, right? And she was like, kind of like, how's like your music going? And I said, actually really good. Like I've got this lined up, I've got like the singles lined up, and then I'm gonna drop the album like right before Easter. And it was crazy because she looked at me like a kid on Christmas. She was looking like, she looked so excited. She's like, that's crazy. It's like I didn't like expect like the whole like thing. And it was like, yeah, like that's pretty cool. And so it was really sick. And so I asked her about her music because currently she has a really good singing voice, right? And I believe she makes music, or she's in the process of making music to where she only has one song out currently. And so I just asked like kind of like, how's your music going? And so she basically said how she's written a lot of stuff but then not produced a lot of beats and stuff. And she was just kind of like, I wish like there's just like someone or just like something that like automatically spewed beats for me. And she was like laughing about it, okay? But it's one of those things of like, you know how someone is trying to communicate to someone. And I mean, I'll be honest, sometimes I am that person where I want to get points across without just having to say them, right? And I know what she was trying to say. Her saying, I wish there was something that automatically made beats for me, is her way of saying, can you make a beat for me? I just know, like, I just have a feeling, right? So basically, it was a thing of like, I just said a lot. I was like, you and I need to collab on something at some point, right? And basically, it wasn't like a commanding tone. It was like, I was like, we should collab on something at some point. I feel like that'd be cool. And she was like, yes, definitely. And she was basically, it's like, okay, like, so I'd definitely be down to do that because I feel like that would go really hard as a collab. But yeah, so then we pretty much went about the rest of our days. And so basically, then I was going more toward the union, and because I didn't eat breakfast this morning, again, because I didn't really have the time to, basically, I was kind of just in through the union at some point. I was just debating on what to eat, right? And so then basically I encountered my best friend, and it was his birthday today, which is exciting. And I was just like, I encountered him, and I was like, because I wasn't planning on seeing him in the union. I was planning on seeing him in one of my later classes. I didn't text anything just because I wanted to say like happy birthday then. But I see him in the union, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and I am so hyped to see this man. I'm like, that's my boy right there. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was able to give him like a fat hug of like when we encountered each other, dude. I love this guy so much. And so basically we were able to get some, he basically invited me to lunch with another one of his friends, with another one of like, I'm starting to become pretty good friends, I feel like, with him as well, like the other guy, right? And so basically we're all just kind of chilling, we're all just kind of having a good lunch together, eat breakfast. And so it was a good meal, right? And so then afterwards I went over to my 1 p.m. and so basically oh my gosh, I'm twitching so much, but it's the reason why I'm twitching so much is just because like I feel like my facial muscles haven't like moved all day. It's just been like blank for the majority of it. So like if you see me doing a bunch of like all that, like don't be concerned, right? So pretty much basically for like the 1 p.m. It was really clutch because he said that there was only one more homework for the class. However, there are no more homework quizzes, and no more quizzes in general, which is huge because for that class, that is the most stressful part of it, in my opinion. So the fact that we don't have any more of those, I'm like, thank goodness, bro. Like, I'm glad that we are free from that, right? So that was really huge. And then so basically afterwards, I had my last class, and basically, essentially what was going down for that was pretty much I went in. Yeah, okay. So trying to think of, I guess, what happened. So I reinstalled because I had it uninstalled for like maybe 5 days, and then I relapsed. I installed Clash Royale again, and then afterwards, after today, I just had to uninstall it because it's just making me mad, right? They completely ruined the game again. Every time they update that game, they always find a new way to ruin it, I swear, bro. So basically, pretty much, I was playing like the game for like the entire duration of that class, but I think that's fine, honestly. I'm just waiting for like the final project to get posted, because it was supposed to get posted today and it has not been posted today, which is like, okay, like you pretty much just took away a whole day for us to work on the final project. That's a little bit kind of that's a little bit messed up, I'm not gonna lie. So pretty much then afterwards, my plan originally was supposed to be go to 1 p.m. Office hours and get a test corrected, right? Because just like test corrections are good, right? For just quizzes and stuff, and just kind of improve the quiz. However, I realized that there were 2 drops. I remember that there were 2 drops. I think there is a little bit of irony because my first drop was the very first thing we did, and my last drop for the main quizzes is the last quiz that we took. On the last one, I got a 0 out of 10, absolutely terrible. But to be honest, if I went and took it today, I still wouldn't have known what was going on. So I just kind of took the L. I was like, you know what, like we can drop a 0. I do not care. And like the rest of it, my average among the normal quizzes is an 89%. So I'm like gladly, I will keep that, right? And so I went over to later in the day semiconductor office hours, and this is where it gets crucial because people who have been watching, or at least people who watched yesterday's episode, if that has been uploaded, okay? But little bit of a spoiler, actually kind of a major spoiler for the plot, right? Basically, on semiconductor and laser what class, was basically, which by the way, I spoiled 2 of my classes, you're going to see them tomorrow. But one of them was originally nicknamed the Cool Unk. I just said it out loud for what it is. 1, because Unk is no longer cool, and 2, because I was just like saying it out loud. It's semiconductor and laser physics, alright? So basically, pretty much I go over to those office hours, and what ends up happening is that for the first exam, I wasn't even going in for the sake of test corrections. I didn't even know the test corrections were a thing at the time. But basically, I originally got a 73 on the test, which I was super thankful for the first exam. But then I went in just to like get some information on these things called energy band gap diagrams, and he was just like, "Do you want any credit back on the test?" And I'm like, and I wasn't. It wasn't on my mind at the time, but it ended up boosting my exam grade from a 73 to an 81.5, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. This is pink. This is pink, dude. This is pink. So basically, I went in today, and I went in actually, you'll see when you watch the other one. Basically, I went in today, long story short, to try and get that for the second exam. Because for the second exam, I got a 60, right? Which is 60 is not bad by any means. For that class, that is actually a miracle. But basically, I went in today to try and get some stuff in, right? And so I'm going to use the bathroom because I need to use it. I'll be right back. Feel free to skip ahead. So I'm actually going to go back in the conversation a little bit, and because it made me realize that this music one is actually not an orange mark; it's actually a check mark. And the reason why is because basically, remember that one? Let's go back to the one class, my last class of the day, right? So remember that one absolutely best friend who is his birthday today, right? So on his, because like a few weeks ago, I basically was suggesting that because he usually draws during class and stuff like that. I was basically saying, well, like potentially, hey, like what if instead you translate that energy into drawing an album cover for my upcoming album, right? And he gladly accepted, right? And so it was based because he was working on it today, and so it was actually really cool. Not only because it looks really sick right now, and I'm seriously loving how it's looking right now, but not only that, but also the fact that it encouraged me to work on one of my covers for the single, right, for an upcoming single. And so basically, I was planning on releasing 4. Okay, so this we already had 2, and so this third one would be the main one that's coming off of the album, right? And so essentially, it's really cool because it encouraged me to do like let's work on it. And so I got that completely done and figured out. I think it looks freaking sick, and so I love it, right? And so basically that was the other thing. Basically, yeah. So let's go back to semiconductor office hours, right? So essentially, what I wanted to do, because I knew I wasn't getting, well, essentially what happened. Sorry, I'm like all over the place right now. For first exam, test corrections brought me from a 73 to an 81.5 on the first exam. Second exam, when I went in and I went for corrections, the TA was talking about how he was too generous with giving out points to everybody, right? For the first exam. And therefore, on the second exam, he has to cut it down a little bit, right? And by cut it down a little bit, he pretty much means he's not supposed to give back points on the exam, which is totally fair. I'm not going to push it any further because it was honestly a miracle in the first place that we got the first exam to where it is now, right? So basically where that puts me right now is like, and in office hours is like, okay, well at this point now I'm just checking for the final exam, right? And that was my thought process, right? It's really interesting because when I went into office hours, by the way, it was my lab partner, and then it was a really good friend of mine, we'll just say. And so pretty much, I mean, do I want to say or do I want to like keep it consistent? No. We'll just say we'll say good friend. Pretty much. The thing is obviously I wasn't supposed to see his exam scores, but I just kind of accidentally caught a glimpse, and it kind of sucked because he was one of my best friends in my major, and it really is unfortunate because for a class like laser semiconductor, each midterm is worth 30% of your grade, and there are 2 midterms, which means collectively there are 60, and so you get a bad grade on the test, that pretty much means you're down and out for the most part. And so it was kind of unfortunate because I saw, let's just say, I'm not going to say anything for privacy reasons, but unfortunately I saw his grade, and thankfully he was able to get some points back, but I saw it, and it makes me a little bit scared because I'm just like I don't want to, I really hope, oh my gosh, I'm just like, part of what makes my major fun, a big part of what makes my major fun is who I'm with in my major, and who my friends are in that major. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't like a lot of people in my major. Like I like people like as in acquaintances, but like in terms of like friends go, like he's probably my best friend in that major, right? And it was basically just a thing of like, I just feel so bad for, you know what, I'm gonna keep it consistent, and I'm sorry, but it's just to make everything make sense. Basically, what made it even worse is the fact that it's my best friend, right, whose birthday it was, and it's basically just a thing of like, what sucks is like I cannot imagine having to go in on your birthday and having to do all that nitty gritty stuff on your freaking birthday, getting your exam back and realizing that I'm just like, this has to be like, I hate that. Like, why freaking school, bro? School is ruining everything, bro. And it's so bad because then like with my lab partner as well, I was telling him prior about how I went back for exam 1 of like I'm like going over to office hours to contest my grade, right? That's what I said to him. And he's like, yeah, like kind of like I'm not the type of person to contest my grade. And I was like, I mean, me neither. But then he boosted me from 73 to an 81.5. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, he was like, oh my gosh, dude. And so he went over to office hours today, and naturally the TA isn't giving back as many points. And so it's just like, why, bro? Like, why? Why? Like, I'm not trying to throw like a tantrum like a freaking baby or whatever. But it's just like, oh my gosh, like I just gotta pray about it. I just have to pray about it because, again, like I said, what makes my major fun is the people that I'm with, and like, if, oh my gosh, if they're not able to take certain classes in the future because of classes right now being annoying, just being naturally annoying, I'm gonna be mad. I am gonna be mad, and I'm gonna be upset because, it's not their fault. It's just like, I want to be with my friends. I want to be with my people. I don't want to go to my the whole point of going into like the field that I'm going into is like I can just enjoy days. And again, people I like, they definitely help with that. So it's just like, I don't want to walk into like things in upcoming semesters. And again, it's not me trying to be selfish. It's just like from my perspective, right? Because obviously the main thing is like I'm just kind of concerned for them. That's really why I'm concerned. It's just like the fact that like I don't want them to like struggle in the future. I just hate seeing them put in that position. You know, it's just your friends. That's really what it is, right? So I mean, thankfully he was able to actually get some points back from the TA. The TA was more generous with him, and they're very thankful for that. And so I'm just hoping like please let these guys pass because they have been working hard and they freaking deserve it. I know because I have been working hard. And I deserve to pass, okay? We've all been in that position. And the TA is like, he's the coolest guy right now. He went from like, I mean, before the semester, he was one of my least favorite people because he was like a really bad TA in one of the other classes that I've had, trying to throw me off for a quiz. But in this semester, he's gotten so much character development, and he's been such an amazing guy. So this is not me blaming the TA. It's just like, this is what engineering does to people. This is what engineering does to people. And honestly, I'm gonna rewrite the title. Because this is what it really is. What engineering, this is really like what my thoughts are today. What engineering does to MF. That's really what it is. Because it's an insane life, man. It's an insane life. It really is. And so, yeah, I'm not going to talk too much more about it. But, yeah, okay, so the rest of the day. So, pretty much, at this point, it was mostly a net positive for me, right? I would consider it a good day up to this point. And I would still consider this day, like, really incredible, right? But basically, I'm walking out of office hours, right, and I'm listening to the new Miles album because I love Miles. He's one of my favorite artists, and I haven't gotten a chance to listen to the album. And specifically, one thing that made me want to listen to the album more is he was basically threatening to take the album down because people were enjoying it so much. That's like the thing of like he wants to make intentionally trash music. However, lately he has been in a more serious arc where he has been creating trash music that is actually really good, like is low-key really good, right? And so basically it was a thing of like, okay, well, I want to make sure I listen to it in case it actually does get taken down or something like that, even though he probably wouldn't. But basically I listened to it and it was really good for the most part, and I enjoyed it pretty much all the way through. Something that made it slightly ruined, in my opinion, was the fact that, and like this is the thing, right, remember that one situationship kinda ish that I was talking about at the start that was basically just like toxic, like pretty much all the way around. It's one of those things you don't realize how toxic it is until you actually get out of it, and then she ended up liking a post that said "F you, Jake," right? That's literally what she did. Even though I was completely like kind of like fine with whatever, like with kind of her boyfriend, I was kind of happy she moved on. I was like, good for her. And then you figure out that the feelings aren't mutual, and it's like, all right, like why are you like, I'm like over here, I'm congratulating you on your like your new boyfriend. I'm just kind of secretly like, I'm wishing you like good for her, right? And then you kind of come at me with just like f you Jake. I'm like, okay, weird. So basically, it's always like, it always throws me off when I see her on campus, and that's really what I'm trying to get at, is that I saw her on campus with her boyfriend, right? I'm pretty sure we both saw each other, but it was a thing of like, it's annoying because she's never on my mind until I just see her randomly on campus. It's like, why, dude? Like, why? It's really annoying. So basically, however, right, what I will say is that really inspired me to make remember how I said there was going to be 4 singles in between now and the album release? Well, I found out, and I think it's a genius idea personally. I had an idea on what I can make the 4th, or I guess the first single that's getting dropped, what I can make the cover of that. It's going to be the picture of the post that she liked, right? The picture of hear me out, stay with me now. The picture of the post she liked, and then I obviously grayed out her profile. I like blocked it out so like she can't get it on me for privacy or anything like that. But basically, then like an arrow pointing to like the fact that somebody liked it. I think that's a really good idea because the whole theme of the song is breaking away from. That's literally what it's called. It's called Breakaway, and it's actually a remix of a song that I have before. Basically, it's about breaking away from bad habits, old things that hold you back, right? And so just the fact that like, the picture has a lot of meaning behind it, because anyone can identify with the song of like they're saying F you to yourself even though your mutuals are like liking the thing. It's like, you know, it's the whole thing. I feel like there are a lot of different meanings to it, and I think people are really gonna like it, and I think it just unironically goes hard as a photo, right? So I mean, that was just, I mean, even though it wasn't great seeing her, the fact that I was able to flip it into a positive thing, I feel like is a really key detail of today that I think is really cool. Okay. Other than that, the main 2 things that I did was I hit the gym. Along with the gym, I was able to listen to the deluxe of Tate McRae's new album. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I am a big Tate McRae fan. Even though I am Christian, and even though because I'm not really a fan of like her dancing. I feel like that's like the key thing. Like, I'm not a fan of all this extra, all the things that she does, you know. I think she's like a little extra in that department. However, I really love her music just because her voice is like really cool to listen to. I think she has a lot of different styles. I think the emotion behind her songs is like a lot unlike a lot of mainstream artists that I listen to nowadays. And so it's refreshing and it's really fire. And so basically it was a thing of I was listening to it at the gym. Basically that was my gym playlist for today. And it was fire. It was really, really good. So I enjoyed it. Basically, other than that, I'm trying to think. Yeah. So basically, what was a cool thing about the album was basically, or what she did on the deluxe, was she did something I haven't seen before. I'm assuming that other people have probably done it before, but she basically put the deluxe songs at the beginning of the track list instead of, usually people would do it either scattered in between or at the end. And I'm like, why would you do that at the beginning? Like, that's like an interesting thing. But what was really cool was that afterwards I was like, you know what, like I don't really have anything else that I want like in mind for music, and like I'm already listening to like the album anyway, so I might as well just listen to the rest of like the album, right? And I'm like, that's why she put it at the freaking start, so that way if people are like, well, I'm already here, might as well listen to the album anyways. And I felt directly for her. I'm like, props to her. And that gives me ideas. That gives me ideas as a musician. I don't mind being tricked as a musician, because if I see something like that, then that means I can use that in the future, which is great. So that was just fantastic. And plus, it was poll day today, so it just made it even better. And honestly, to add to the plot, which is even crazier, is that I encountered my roommate, right? The same one who dated the girl. But it was cool. It was really cool. It was a cool, like, set of things that happened within the span of each other, okay? The last thing that I'm going to mention is basically the fact that I calculated my potential final grades and what I need on each of the final things in order to get certain grades in each of the classes, okay? So keep in mind, there are 6 classes that I'm taking. I'll write them down just in case you forgot, and I don't blame you if you forgot, because, you know, it's life, you know? Color. I love like all the different colors I have because like now I can actually like go around. I think yesterday I used light green, so we're gonna keep it light. No, wait. I used light blue, didn't I? Yeah. Okay, so we'll do that. So I'll go in the order that I calculated grades in, right? I don't know why I wrote an E there. Hang on, sorry. That's not how it works. Is let me see. Okay. And then there was linear algebra. Then there was the 1 p.m. And then there was the class that I spoiled yesterday. This was the 2 classes I spoiled yesterday actually. It was radiometry and then semiconductor physics. Right? Those 5 classes. And then technically there's a lab. I didn't do the calculations for the lab, right? Just because I'm not really concerned about that class. It's a 1 unit class. As long as I get a passing grade on it and I don't have to retake it, that's all that matters for that. So we have these things, okay? What was a really common theme across all of them, right? And it's really interesting. It's actually kind of fascinating. Is that basically, I kid you not for 1, not 2, but for 3 of my classes. These 3 up here. Because it's important to note that I just so happened to calculate them in the order of, it's not just so happened, I actually did it intentionally after I did let me see. Basically, least worried about the class to most worried about my grade in the class, right? So basically, for all 3 of these, I kid you not, I basically need around an 88% to pass. Or sorry, not to pass, but to get an A. That is the stance I'm at with each of these classes. I believe it varies a little bit. I believe 1 p.m. is more around 87. I believe that linear algebra is more around 88, and then let me see is around maybe 89. I believe that is the breakdown for each of them. However, I just find it extremely funny that even though I put wildly different amounts of effort into each class, all 3 of these I need around an 88% to pass. Or I keep saying that. This is what engineering does to an MF. Because the thing is that when you're so locked into grades and engineering, you forget that sometimes you only need a B or you only need a C to pass. You don't necessarily need an A. But what I'm trying to say is that for these 3 classes, I need around an 88% in order to get an A, right? And so that is huge, and I will absolutely be going for an A in all 3 of these classes because my transcript needs as many A's as I possibly can. Especially there's this whole lie. Well, first of all, there's this whole quote unquote lie that people say of look at your GPA, but then there's another lie that people say of your GPA doesn't matter, right? As long as you get the degree, then that's all that matters. Then tell me why I was applying to internships this morning and they're saying, oh, a 3.0 GPA is the bare minimum, but a 3.5 would be suggested. So then what was everybody else telling me about this? Oh, GPA doesn't matter. Yeah, that was clearly a lie. So we need as many A's as we possibly can. If there are 3 A's available this semester, I am going to try and get every single one of them. I will try my hardest, for sure. And I'm not going to be slacking on any of these, okay? I think the order of hardness, I don't know. I feel like they're all going to be equally hard in their own respects. Maybe this one is a little bit harder. Thankfully, that's the one that has the most leniency, but that's those 3, okay? As for these other 2, I believe that I had to approximate heavily on these, right? But basically, we'll make this one, we'll keep it the same color. So for radiometry, okay, assuming exam 2, I just kind of plugged in there's not enough information in that class to actually deduce what grade I got or what grade I have, but I believe that I have around a C right now, okay? Assuming that I get around an 80% on the exam 2, right? On the final exam, I believe I would need around an 85% or somewhere close to it in order to get a B in the class. which is actually huge because I did not realize that a B would be available to me. So I am going to try and also get a B in radiometry because I think I can. I genuinely think I can do it, right? Where it gets a little variable, and I'm not surprised because this is where everyone is falling. This is where I mean, you want to talk about a weed out class. Every class in engineering is a freaking weed out class. But if you want to talk about the engineering class within my major that is a weed out, it is semiconductor physics. People have already fallen to it. People that are with me and in my circle are already falling to this thing, right? Or at least in some circles they're falling for this thing, right? And so I'm obviously the most worried about it for this one, right? And so I did 2 different grades, right? 2 different sets of grades, okay? Optimistically and pessimistically. I'll indent them a little so it's easier to distinguish. And I'll actually write out the full word. I believe this is how you spell each one. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to talk about office hours for this class. Okay. So you know what, yeah. Because I was too focused on like the whole like, oh yeah, like this and this about my friends and stuff. So basically, how office hours went for this class, by the way, because this is crucial for the final exam, right? Basically, the person who was trying to get points back because of his grade on the last exam, right, that I was talking about, was basically, he was saying of like how he mainly wants to just prep for the final. And so the TA, who has been mostly reliable up to this point, has basically said, okay, this is like a very, rumor has it, this is a very entering gossip territory, but like key gossip territory. And this is what, bro, semiconductor physics is literally just a whole episode of Big Brother. That's literally all it is, I swear. Just a convoluted Big Brother season. So pretty much, basically the thing about this is that he said that hypothetically, the exam is only going to cover everything after the second exam, which would be a complete game changer, because even though every like chapter builds on itself, the problem with what he said is that now I have a choice to make. Do I listen to him and only prioritize the last 2 homeworks that are being covered on the final exam, or do I go back and try to understand all the material so that way in case he's wrong, I am not completely screwed, right? Because they're in both, it makes me nervous. It just makes me nervous because I'm just so uncertain about that class, right? And I said in the other episode that like I was still uncertain and like, oh, I'm not doing as bad as I thought. But upon redoing the calculations, it makes me a little bit stressed, right? Because specifically for these 2, okay, I'm gonna do a couple of things, okay? We're gonna do the optimistic grade, the pessimistic grade, and then I'm gonna write down a third one that I haven't officially calculated, but I believe is basically is based on the previous episode, things that I talked about in the previous episode, right? Okay, we've got the optimistic view, the pessimistic view, and the realistic view. Okay, so I ran the grades, right? Optimistic assumes that I got the amount of attendance points that I believe I deserve. It assumes that the rest of my homeworks are 100s. It assumes that the 2 exams, the 81.5 holds, and also additionally, the 60 was boosted up to a 63. Assuming that that is the case, I have the paper around here somewhere. I believe it's probably in the other room. But what I believe it is that optimistically, if this were the case, then I would need a 93 for a B, and I would hypothetically need a 50% for a C. This would be fantastic, but this is a utopia. I'm not assuming that I need only a 50% because I'm not going to get complacent like that. That's where fools mess up. That's where fools slip up, is that they get complacent and they're like, oh, I only need a 50, and then they realize they're not living in a perfect world, and then all of a sudden they got to retake a freaking class. So naturally, that also led me to do the pessimistic view, right? And the pessimistic view assumes that I missed 1 attendance call, and therefore I get 0% for that section. Attendance is worth 2% in your final grade, by the way. It assumes that my next two homeworks, I miss one problem each, right? Which would be a 90% for each of those. And then it assumes that I didn't get any extra credit. It just completely assumes the fact that all the extra credit that I got back on the first exam it basically assumes that I got no extra points back or no test correction points back from the first exam and the second exam. So instead of being an 81.5 and a 63, it would be a 73 and a 60, right? Assuming the worst. If that were the case, a B is unattainable to nobody's surprise, and a C would mean getting a 69.97. So there is a little bit of comfort there, right? A little bit. Because it basically means that even worst case scenario, even if all of my Big Brother related efforts were for nothing, at the bare minimum, I have a 70.01 in the class, and I need a 70% to pass, right? However, these are not your average exams. A 70 is a little bit hard to get on these exams, okay? So, that is why I'm writing down the realistic view, which I believe is the true grade, which assumes that I got 1.5 out of 2% for my attendance because I attended 3 out of the 4 times that he took in attendance so far, okay? It assumes that for my homeworks, the rest of them are going to be 100s because I feel like that I could attend it. It assumes that my exam 1 test corrections hold. However, it also assumes that my second exam grade stays at a 60. I think that is going to be the most realistic view of it. If I remember from my calculations, because I did this a while ago, this would essentially mean that I need a 98% for a B, which keep on dreaming, little bro. But again, that's without a curve, right? And then it would also entail around a 53% for a C. I firmly believe, this realistic view is going to be the one that we're probably going to go off of. I think this is a completely fair estimate. However, just in case, we need to prepare for the worst, okay? Which means we need to aim and we need to study for bare minimum a 70. Because like I said, if we get a 70, we are guaranteed to pass this class. Guaranteed. It's not even up for debate. It's not even up to a curve. It's not even up to anything. If we get a 70, we are locked in, moving on, with 0 classes having to be GRO'd, okay? But realistically, I'm assuming that this is what it should be, right? So we can aim for a B. A B would be fantastic in that class. But if we don't get a B, then it is what it is, right? And that's everything. That is really everything, okay? The rest of the day, came home and just relaxed. That's it. And then I recorded this, so. Yeah. What did we learn from today? We learned what engineering does to an MF. That's what we learned from today. There's a lot of hardships. I will say, that's going to be lesson number 1, is the fact that every great thing in life comes with a lot of sacrifice. You don't like that reality, then it's not worth sacrificing. Why is markers trying to fall during my great speech right now? Come on. I'm losing aura right now. Alright, hang on. Let me regain it. With every great thing in life comes a great amount of sacrifice. The thing about an engineering degree, or trying to make it in music, or trying to start up a business, trying to do whatever you're trying to do, right? Every single thing requires you to make changes in your life. And it really does test how much you are willing to change your life for that one thing that you desperately crave. It's always a test, especially when it comes to engineering. I can tell you every engineering student who has made it or is currently doing it will tell you stories about how they almost gave up, about how they almost switched majors, about how they almost switched out of college. They will all tell you that. However, they're all still standing. And you know why they're still standing? Because they cut things out of their life and they made changes in their life that kept them going. Because they realized that sacrificing the one thing they needed to sacrifice and the few things and probably the many things that they needed to sacrifice will be worth it for the engineering degree, right? Whether it will be or not, at the end of the day, it varies from person to person. However, great things require great sacrifice. That is number 1, okay? Number 2 is going to be the fact that, what should number 2 be? Number 2 is going to be the fact that there's not a lot of competition nowadays. You're going to wonder how this pertains to today. I'm going to tell you why. No, there's not a lot of competition nowadays. And you know why? Because I would say that about 50% of people, at least, dig their own grave. There are a lot of people, this ties into the Bible quote, for anyone wondering. This ties into the fact that people will ruin their own lives and then they'll blame God for it, right? Not everybody is dealt the same hand. We all have our hardships. I talked about this in the previous episode. But the thing is that we all have the option to go out into the world and get what we want. We all have that option. It's all given to us. Are you going to do it or are you not going to do it, right? And a lot of people will go out and say that it's not worth it, right? But here's the thing, right? The people who go out of their way to say, oh, it's not worth it, oh, I'm not going to do this, I'm not good enough for it, all they're doing from a psychological standpoint, I mean, like, you do whatever you want to do, right? I'm not going to judge you for it, and, like, go after your passion, go after something that matters. But people will complain about competition. Oh, there's so much, it's such a competitive market, there's this and this about it, that's like, oh, it's hard to go and pursue it. But the truth is that a lot of people don't even take the shot. There's a lot of people who want to shoot a basketball, hypothetically in this situation. A lot of people want to go shoot the basketball, but at the end of the day, it's only a small fraction of people who are actually going to try after the first throw. A lot of people will just throw the basketball one time, hypothetically in this like theoretical situation. They'll throw it one time, and then they'll give up after the first time. But most of the people actually would probably not even throw the basketball because they'd be too scared to throw the basketball. So it's not about trying to make it. It's not about the fear of failure. Stop fearing failure. That is what I'm trying to say with this second point. Stop fearing failure because you are already ahead of the competition by conquering failure and trying to get past failure. That already puts you ahead. So if you can get past that, if you can get past that mental roadblock of making a fool out of yourself, of just like, if you don't succeed, try again, you get past that and you keep trying, one day it will work. It will work. It absolutely will. And even if it doesn't, it will teach you something about discipline. It will teach you things that you never thought you can ever do or learn. And that's number 2. And then number 3 is definitely a big point for me, okay? It's not about what you know, it's about who you know, okay? It's a big, big phrase. Laser semiconductor is not the type of class that you are going to get by just knowing the material. It's not. Because if you notice, there are a lot of key interactions that have only happened because I've gone around and talked to other people, because I've gotten info from other people, insider information from other people. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know, because it can completely determine the course of the thing. This is why I was talking about in yesterday's episode about this and this, of like how if they're these smart people then that are not doing well in the class, then where does that put me, right? But the thing is that those smart people, even though they are smart and they know their academics, what put me ahead of them is the fact that I went around and I talked to people and I put myself out there and I did things that socially put me ahead of the game. And because my social game was that good, it put me in a good position academically. Which is why I say it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And who you know can make a very big difference in your life if you use it correctly. That's pretty much all I got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much. And I will see you guys again. Hopefully not the same time tomorrow because it is late, but I will see you tomorrow. Cut. That wasn't a good enough clap. Cut. There you go.